sidling up towards the start because he's got the flag up. Flag's raised. And it's good night from him. Cheers, Mick. Good Friday Fairy leading them in with Men in Gate and Half the Freedom. Let's see whether the starter's left arm is strong enough to hold the flag up until they're upon him. Wasn't in the 3 mile chase. Coming in, jig jogging now. And off. Over 2 miles for the Kazoo Handicap Hurdle. Good Friday Fairy leads on the way down to the first of 8 flights with Men in Gate, Tokyo Live, Half the Freedom, and away to the inside Double Click giving chase. King's Castle is next, and the other quartet are some way out of their ground at the first flight of hurdles. Good Impression, Call Me Arthur out wide, with Philanderer dropped out in company with Imperial Measure. Men in Gate is chasing Good Friday Fairy down to the second, and they've gone clear, the front pair. Men in Gate stepped at it, recovered, getting strung out already. Front pair 7-8 lengths clear of Double Click and Half the Freedom, who are followed by King's Castle and Tokyo Live, and then another little gap to Good Impression, Philanderer, Call Me Arthur, and finally Imperial Measure. Front two have pulled 12 lengths clear of the chasing group. Good Friday Fairy pursued by Men in Gate around the turn, and then this sizable break to Double Click, Half the Freedom, King's Castle, Tokyo Live totally unable to lie up after racing prominently in the very early stages. That one's already being encouraged along in front of Good Impression, Philanderer, and then Imperial Measure and Call Me Arthur. Well over 15 lengths front to back, nearer 20 as they run on to the first on the back straight. Good Friday Fairy and Men in Gate separated by a length and a half. 10 clear of Double Click and Half the Freedom, and King's Castle and Tokyo Live and Philanderer, and then Good Impression and Imperial Measure, and finally Call Me Arthur as they run on to the middle flight on the back straight. Good Friday Fairy and Ben Jones, chased by Men in Gate and Brodie Hampson, about 3 lengths down, jumping that obstacle. About 12 lengths to Double Click and Half the Freedom, with Philanderer taking closer order on the inside of King's Castle. Tokyo Live is behind those, and then Good Impression and Imperial Measure and Call Me Arthur as the leaders prepare to jump 4 out. Good Friday Fairy over it, 4 lengths clear from Men in Gate, and we lose King's Castle at the fourth last, who blundered and unseated Rex Dingle. The jockey's getting to his feet seemingly unscathed as the leaders head into the turn. Good Friday Fairy by nearly 3 lengths over Men in Gate in second, and then you've got to look 10 lengths back to Double Click and Half the Freedom, who are racing in a share of third position. Philanderer is fifth. Good Impression, Imperial Measure follow. Tokyo Live and Call Me Arthur are the last two, but they're well behind. Turning in with half a mile to gallop and 3 flights to jump. Good Friday Fairy appears to have seen off Men in Gate now. There'd be 4 or 5 lengths between them as they run down to the third last. Just depends whether the chasing group can get on terms. Leader made a mistake, lost momentum, 3 out. Philanderer jumped into third on the outside of Half the Freedom. On their inside is Double Click. Imperial Measure is keeping on from well off the pace. It's Good Friday Fairy with a sizable lead running to 2 out. Men in Gate is emptying. Double Click and Philanderer likely to go past soon after 2 out with Half the Freedom. Imperial Measure still staying on. Good Friday Fairy is running on vapour between the last 2 flights. Double Click is bridging the gap down to just a couple of lengths. Philanderer, Imperial Measure running on. Good Friday Fairy over the last from Double Click. Imperial Measure's running on well in third. Good Friday Fairy with Double Click moving through to take up the running near the finish. Double Click ran down Good Friday Fairy. Imperial Measure running on in third. Philander home in fourth, followed by Half the Freedom, Men in Gate, Good Impression, Call Me Arthur, and Tokyo Live.
First, number 5, Double Click. Second, number 3. Third, number 13. The fourth placed horse, number 4. The provisional result of the 8th and final race of the afternoon, the Kazoo Handicap Hurdle Race. First, number 5, Double Click. Second, number 3, Good Friday Fairy. Third, number 13, Imperial Measure. The fourth placed horse, number 4, Philanderer. The distances were 1.5 lengths and 3 1/4 lengths, 1.5 lengths and 3 1/4 lengths.